Because disciple making is an upstream way of life in our society, and because the plan of God for flourishing will not go unopposed by Satan, and because our sinful flesh will resist putting others' needs above our own, making disciples will require significant perseverance. You might think of these three things that we just shared as the unholy trinity: society, Satan, and sin, and they will work together to bring opposition to your life. We'll consider Paul's exhortation in 1 Corinthians 15:58. He says, "Therefore, dear brothers, stand firm. Let nothing move you. Always give yourselves fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain." Well, why would Paul need to encourage the Corinthians to stand firm and keep giving their lives to the work of the Lord? Because there are many ways one could lose heart in what sometimes feels like an all-out spiritual battle. In fact, as I've discipled a number of people and then encouraged them to step out and disciple others, I have become aware that if this new discipler can be particularly discouraged in their first attempt to disciple another, perhaps they will never step out and try it again. My final illustration in this series of 7 verses and 7 pictures on simple disciple making will emphasize 4 aspects of walking with God that will require great perseverance because they will not go unopposed. I call this illustration the 4 eyes. So God created men and women to be in a relationship with Himself. We were made for intimacy with Him. To be fully known and fully loved. We're invited to walk closely with Him like a father with his child, or even as the body of believers, like a bride with her groom. But if you're like me, I struggle every day to truly walk in this intimacy that I was made for, right? Meeting with God on a regular basis, actually connecting deeply with Him during that time, staying aware of Him throughout the day, involving Him in the many decisions that come my way. These will all be opposed in my life and your life. Intimacy with God is possible, but it will not go unopposed. We were also created to have integration within ourselves between head and heart. In other words, we were given unity between what was true as processed in our head and what was felt as processed in our hearts. Our emotions and our passions were pure and rich, and they were aligned with truth. Our thinking was clear and accurate and focused rightly. We lived the full life and flourished in alignment with our true identity as a child of God. But things are different since sin entered the world. It has been said that the longest distance in the universe is the 16 inches between one's head and one's heart. In our broken world, we often experience wounds and lies that assault our hearts. We learn to sort of cut off our hearts, numb the pain, medicate our neediness, stay busy, look successful. But the results are not pretty, right? We end up disconnected from our emotions, distracted from being present, presenting a false version of ourselves to others, driven to avoid the pain. Integration of head and heart is possible, but it will not go unopposed. Well, out of the overflow of intimacy with God and integration with ourselves, we were made to join God's kingdom purposes and to have an impact. We've been blessed in order to be a blessing to others. We were made with unique design and given particular gifts to utilize for the benefit of others, for deeply impacting others' lives. God is on a mission. We have been called to play a significant role in it. And most of us would agree that we want our lives to count. We want to make an impact in the lives of people. We want to make disciples even. But somehow we can turn it all to be about us getting the credit, or maybe being seen a certain way. Or we feel the need to reach out to others, but constantly feel like we don't know what we're doing. We feel ill-equipped for this. We don't know what to say. If you've taken any hard knocks laying down your lives for others, you can feel the temptation to just give up, right? It's too hard. Eternal impact through your life is possible, but it will not go unopposed. Even when no sin had entered the world and God had man and man had God, God still says it is not good yet because man is alone. We were made to live interdependent with others. We were made for relationship. We will not flourish unless we have other people in our lives with to live in deep community alongside. We were made to be known and loved in interdependent, life-giving relationships. The number one reason that missionaries leave the mission field might surprise you. It's not difficult living conditions, hard hearts to the gospel, or visas being revoked. It is because of conflict with other missionaries, usually the ones on their own team. How can this be? Well, those other challenges are out there, and they're expected maybe, but friendly fire from your own team is especially painful. The unholy trinity loves to cause division and conflict and bitterness between believers because it's especially painful. The other tactic is to lead people towards hiding, perhaps surrounded by people, but not being truly known, living out the struggles of life in the dark, creating fear to be vulnerable and real with one another. Deep interdependence with other brothers and sisters in Christ, it is possible, but it will not go unopposed. Where does the opposition seem to be concentrated in your life currently? This is the question I regularly ask myself as a disciple and a disciple maker. God is inviting me and you towards intimacy, integration, impact, and interdependence. It seems like these four areas that we have been created for and called to are essential to pay attention to in our lives. I want to be alert to the opposition and persevere with God's help so that I might be like Paul and say, I fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. Hey, thank you for sticking with me through this series on simple disciple making. We could have said a lot more, but we wanted to do it using 7 scriptures and 7 pictures. Appreciate you guys.